Hey everyone, it's November 15th, 2021. It's Monday, and we are going to discuss the events that have happened involving Travis Scott and the Astroworld Festival. Last Wednesday, on November 10th, we found out that Bharti Shoshani had died. She was the 9th victim of the Astroworld Festival that passed away. Now, she is the girl, and I am not going to post it in this video because it is traumatizing to see that video. She is the girl that is on a stretcher being carried out by security and law enforcement, and they drop her on her head. Now, I am a first responder. I have carried many people out on backboards, and I have never, ever seen anything like that in my life. They all seemed incompetent and didn't seem to know how to carry someone on a backboard. She was not secured to that backboard correctly. There was no neck collar on her whatsoever. And when I watched that footage, I watched her neck break. I seen it, and I even had my husband watch because he is a first responder as well. And he said nobody was at the front of her head. And it's true. It seemed as though they were taking, in our opinion, the lazy way out. And this poor 22-year-old girl laid in the hospital for days after having several heart attacks. She was trampled on. She went with her sister and her cousin for the first time to enjoy a Travis Scott concert. And her parents had to find out that she was in the hospital, hooked up to a ventilator, because she never regained any brain activity, nor was she able to breathe by herself again. I was horrified to see that video footage, and to think that these people, Live Nation and the people that own the grounds, are not taking responsibility for this is horrible. There are, in fact, people that went to this concert where their social media accounts are being shut down. They want them to be silenced. And then yesterday, November 14th, we find out about Ezra. Ezra Blunt, who went there with his father so they can enjoy seeing their favorite singer together, Travis Scott. When his father lost consciousness because he was being compressed and he wasn't able to breathe, he passed out. And Ezra was on his shoulders. So when his father fell after passing out, Ezra fell to the ground and he was trampled on. He was initially rushed to the hospital as a John Doe because his father was not awake to tell medical or law enforcement who he was. They found out later when they went to the hospital that Ezra had a couple of heart attacks. He had CPR. He had liver damage, kidney damage, lung damage, swelling of the brain. And he had been in a medically induced coma. He had been on medications to paralyze him, and his grandmother, who was a nurse, spoke about it, saying that when they tried to take him off of those medications, he wasn't able to. I'm sure he was suffering tons of pain, and you may not think that somebody that's in a medically induced coma suffers pain. That is not true. They do. They feel pain. They still even can hear your voice. That is the last thing to go most of the time. So he passed away yesterday. I don't think he had any brain activity left either. So now Travis Scott's attorney comes out, and oh my gosh, you guys, don't get me started on this guy. He is defending Travis Scott like you wouldn't believe, saying Travis Scott didn't know anything that was going on, and I'm calling BS on that. I know that he saw people passing out. There were two of his employees that approached him during that concert and was telling him there were things going on, and he chose to ignore them. He walked away. And he went on performing for another 41 minutes after it was called a crowd surge catastrophe. He kept on playing. And then after that, he went with Drake to Dave & Buster's and partied. Now, this is not completely Travis Scott's fault. It is Live Nation's fault just as much as the grounds that this was held on. We heard an interview last week by a security guard that worked Astroworld saying that nobody even looked at his identification. He was texted that he got the job and he was supposed to be making $17 an hour. And this guy said all you had to do was put a name down and a telephone number. They didn't check if you had any experience or anything. And he said there were a lot of people working security that could not handle this crowd. He said the crowd was rowdy and tough, doing anything to get in and then doing anything to get close to Travis Scott. Now, a lot of people are saying that children should not have been at the concert. And you guys, we are not in the position the parents were that children who wanted to go to this concert. We have to remember Travis Scott has a younger audience listening to him. He had the McDonald's meals. He was in Fortnite. He had a concert on Fortnite. He has his own character in Fortnite. He had a Fortnite song. So I know a lot of people do not understand why these kids were at this concert, but to them, this was their hero. And I know we should not be putting these people on a pedestal, especially after this behavior that happened at this concert. It is absolutely horrible. So now we have 10 people that lost their lives, and there are others in the hospital fighting for their lives right now. So we don't know how this is going to end up. And I am going to include the footage of Travis Scott's lawyer speaking to Good Morning America. And I'd love to know what you all think about what is said. I know that Travis Scott in the past has asked for his fans to get rowdy. He asked them to blank a boy that was at his concert that took his shoe. I mean, come on, he's a multimillionaire. And it was a young boy that did a crazy thing because he saw his idol that jumped in the crowd and he probably wanted a shoe. It probably wasn't the smartest thing he'd do, but Travis Scott should know better. He should know better than to rev up an audience to do that. So I'm going to leave you with that. If there is more news that comes out, I will be sure to let you know. But let me know what you think about the lawyer's testimony. I hope all of you are doing well and having a beautiful week, and I will talk to you all real soon. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.
Death toll in that Houston concert tragedy rises to 9. But first, let's go back to Marcus Moore there in Dallas with the latest on this. Good morning again, Marcus.
Well, Cecilia, good morning. As this investigation stretches into another day, the death toll, as you mentioned, sadly is rising. 22-year-old Barty Shahani died from her injuries. She was a senior at Texas A&M University and was at the concert with family. She suffered multiple heart attacks, authorities say, as she was crushed by the crowd. And this was her first time attending this music festival. It's been nearly a full week since the incident left 8 other young people dead and hundreds hurt. And there was chaos long before the gates even opened. And in the days since, there's been finger pointing about who could have or who should have stopped the show and whether or not it could have been stopped sooner by Travis Scott, the organizers, or even Houston police. But this morning, no one has been held accountable, and there's no clear answers on what exactly went wrong. Cecilia, the police chief said that this is a criminal investigation and that it could take months for them to find answers as to what went wrong at this concert. Cecilia.
Okay, Marcus, thank you so much. And as you just said, there are so many questions. And right now we are joined live by Travis Scott's attorney, Ed McPherson. Mr. McPherson, thank you so much for being here with us this morning. I want to start right there with Barty Shahani, the 9th young person who passed away from the injuries that she sustained there at your client's show. We also have a 9-year-old boy who is in this medically induced coma. So I'll ask you, how much responsibility does your client bear for what happened that night?
You know what? That's what the investigations are about. That's what we're trying to get to the bottom of is who was responsible. This obviously was a systemic breakdown that we really need to get to the bottom of before we start pointing fingers at anyone.
There are so many questions indeed about what happened there. We know that police declared this mass casualty event just before 9:40 p.m. The show, though, continued to go on for another 40 minutes. That mass casualty declaration, did it not get to your clients at all, or anyone on his team for that matter?
It absolutely did not. In fact, I think we've seen footage of police half an hour later just walking about and not looking like it was a mass casualty event. But clearly, the important thing is that never got to Travis. That never got to Travis's crew. He's up there trying to perform. He does not have any ability to know what's going on down below, certainly on a mass level.
So we've seen, you're looking at one right now, so many videos from that show. We know that Travis stopped the show several times. At one point, he acknowledges that someone had passed out and called for help. We've seen other footage where you could see ambulance lights, concert goers going out in stretchers. At what point did Travis find out what happened? And while all this was going on, what did he think was happening down below?
You know what? Travis didn't really understand the full effect of everything until the next morning. Truly, he did not know what was going on. As you could see from the clip right there, he's on a riser at one point and he sees one boy down and he actually asks security, he stops the show, he asks security to get to that person. There were a couple other times, one with, you say an ambulance, but it looked more like a golf cart with some lights. He wasn't sure what that was, but he stopped the show for that. Told people to get aside if they're okay, put their hands up. There was one other instance right in front of him where he saw something specific. But understand that when he's up on the stage and he has flash pots going off around him and he has an ear monitor that has music blasting through it and his own voice, he can't hear anything, he can't see anything.
We also just saw this new report that Marcus was just talking about right before you about how out of hand this was even before the concert started. Folks storming security gates, one person sent to the hospital before these gates even open. Was Travis Scott aware of any of that?
He certainly was not. He's not part of that. He doesn't run security. He was preparing for the concert, and that's it. So this is the first time I've seen footage of that, and I'm pretty sure that Travis wasn't aware of that until much after the concert.
But this isn't the first time, sir, that fans have been injured at one of Travis Scott's shows. He was arrested, in fact, twice for incidents that took place at his concert. Does he not have a history of inciting crowds that come to his shows?
You know what? Travis, as an artist, has really grown up a lot. I've spoken personally to him about this, and he really didn't understand the magnitude of his power up on the stage, I think, as a young performer, and he's really matured over the years. He does understand that. That's why when he saw something specific, he told security to get over there, and when he saw other things that were specific, he made sure that somebody went to help.
So when he was telling the crowd that night to rage, that was not inciting them?
I don't think so. I think it's nothing more than any other performer wants. You want your audience to be engaged. You want them to be standing up. You don't want them to be sitting down. I certainly don't think I know he didn't have anything like this in mind, certainly. He wanted them to be engaged. He wanted them to have a good time. We're coming out of COVID. This is what this festival was about.
Ed McPherson, we thank you so much for your time this morning.